Hello, and in today's video we are doing Premier League predictions for match week number 3 of the 2022 to 23 season. That's right, another round of fixtures in the best league in the world, the Premier League. It's back for another game week, and there were some very fascinating results in match week number 2, which we'll go through. We'll see how I got on in the predictions in match week 2, and then we'll predict all 10 fixtures for match week 3. But before we do, make sure you smash a like on the video, comment down your thoughts and your predictions for match week 3, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to get more content and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. So, before we do anything, let's start reflecting on match week number 2 then. It was, of course, kicking off with that very interesting match. Two sides, really, when you look at it and you think they should be doing fairly well this season. You know, very, very decent sides. Teams that probably can, at some point in the season, do enough to finish mid-table. But at the minute, they were struggling. After game week 1, both Aston Villa and Everton were in the mud. But look, it was a good performance from Aston Villa. And Aston Villa won 2-1 on the day with goals from Emi Buendia, Danny Ings, and then a goal for Everton, own goal from Luca Digne. I mean, he just always scores own goals in that fixture. But yeah, good win for Aston Villa. They were the better team for sure. Everton's still got a lot of problems and they're still in a relegation battle, you would think, this season. So, interesting one, that one. But thanks for the comments in the video last week. We had a DK in the comments. He said we had 2-1 Everton win, so sorry, mate, but you got that the wrong way around, so no points for you. Remember, it's 3 points for the correct result, 5 for the goal difference, and then 7 for the correct scoreline. So yeah, I actually went with a result there for Aston Villa, and I actually predicted in the end that it would be a 1-0, so I got the correct goal difference, 5 points, lovely stuff. Moving on, we had Arsenal against Leicester. That was a great win for Arsenal, 4-2 in the end. I went with a 2-1 win to Arsenal, so 3 points there for me, and DK went for a 2-0, so 5 points for him. Decent stuff from DK. Very good win for Arsenal. 2 goals from Gabriel Jesus, 1 from the inform Gabriel Martinelli, and then obviously the other was a decent goal from Arsenal in terms of it was a good kind of finish, but it was bad from Leicester because Granit Xhaka had a tap in, really. He stroked it well, confidently, but it was poor from Danny Ward in goal for the Foxes. Whereas Leicester, they got a couple goals through James Maddison in the second half, and obviously that goal as well for Leicester came. And, I did at one point think that Leicester were going to get back in the game, they were going to start giving Arsenal a few more problems, but in the end, it was just 4-2 with that own goal from Saliba, giving Arsenal a bit of worry there. So ultimately, it's a good result for Arsenal. 6 points from two games, and it's 5 points for DK in the predictions, but just the 3 for me. Brighton against Newcastle, because DK said 2-0 Arsenal, so that's the right goal difference. Brighton Newcastle, DK said 1-1. It was, of course, 0-0. So again, another 5 points. Well done, DK. I said a Brighton victory, 2-0. And to be honest, it was fair enough because Brighton did dominate, but Nick Pope had an outstanding performance. Lots of great saves, and Trippier clearing it off the line. As much as it was risky, he did clear it off the line. So ultimately, a good point for Newcastle. Brighton is not an easy team to go up against, even if Brighton's home form has been quite poor. That was an interesting match, and Newcastle will take the points. So no points for me there in the predictions, but we move. We've also got the game between the likes of Manchester City and Bournemouth. Man City and Bournemouth obviously was a 4-0 City win, which was a very, very good result for Man City, but they could have even scored more if it wasn't for Foden not squaring the ball to Haaland there. But still, 3-1 is what DK went for. It was, of course, 4, so 3 points for you there. I went for a 5-0, so just the wrong side of the scoreline there. So not too bad for me, 3 points. Southampton Leeds, I thought Leeds would win this because I was impressed by how they played against Wolves with that comeback victory, but they did in fact end up drawing 2-2, and it was a great comeback, not from Leeds this time, but from Southampton. Southampton were much better than they were against Tottenham, and obviously the difference in class shows. But the kind of couple of players that really impressed me for Southampton, you got players like Aribo, who got his first goal for Southampton, and I thought Armstrong was also impressive. He wasn't scoring in that game, but he was linking the play really well. And obviously the result for Southampton was an improved one based on last week. So yeah, a draw there. DK said a 2-1 Southampton, so none of us get any points for that. Wolves against Fulham. DK went with a 2-0 to Wolves. It was in fact a 0-0, and I predicted a 1-1 draw. So 5 points for me, none for DK. I mean, it was a tight game in my opinion, but ultimately Wolves did have more chances. And how Pedro Neto missed some of those chances, I really don't know. He just couldn't get his feet sorted out. He headed one, and then the other he tried to shoot, and then it got tackled at the last minute. So not a great result from Wolves. They would have wanted to win at home, their first home game of the season, but good result for Fulham, despite the fact they actually ended up missing a penalty. Mitrovic, a tale of two penalties last week, scores it v Liverpool. This week misses it, and it's a very bad penalty, and Jose Sarr saves it down the middle. So yeah, good result there for Fulham. I suppose Wolves is not the easiest of matches, but that's no points for either of us in terms of getting the correct scoreline, but at least I got a correct result, and therefore the correct goal difference with the draw, saying 1-1. Brentford Man United, I said a Man United win because I thought surely... Oh no, I didn't actually. I said a 1-1 draw. Sorry, that was DK. DK said 2-1 to United. It was of course 4-0 to Brentford. United were awful. I don't even know what more I can say. They were just relegation fodder in that match. And I said a 1-1 draw. So yeah, neither of us got points there. 3-1 to West Ham was what DK went for. I just had the feeling Forest would get something from the game. I went for a 1-1. In the end, though, Forest won 1-0, and they were superb throughout most of the game. So really good win for Forest. And Taiwo Awoniyi with the first goal of their season for the Reds. I mean, it was a jammy goal, but Forest will take it. And fair play to Forest for this transfer window, because they have been bringing in players and decent players at that. Emmanuel Dennis has come in. They've brought in Dean Henderson, who was outstanding against West Ham, even if Forest did ride their luck at times with, the goal offside from Benrahma being ruled out, and it was correctly ruled out for the foul from Antonio. Then you had the Declan Rice missed penalty, and you had 2 times hitting the woodwork. And it was, first of all, a shot from Fornals that was definitely going to go in and bounced onto the line, and then it was a great save from Henderson on the follow-up to Deniz Soucek. And then another time it hit the bar, it was a free kick from Benrahma. I mean, West Ham, it was just one of those for them. They weren't awful. They were decent enough, but still yet to score a goal this season, West Ham, and a great result for Nottingham Forest. So then it was a game between the likes of Chelsea and Spurs. So as I say, no points for either of us in that Forest game, but I did think Spurs would do well. I just thought Chelsea would match them. I went for a 2-2 draw. And lo and behold, as you can see there, it was a 2-2 draw. So lovely stuff. 7-pointer for me there. And DK went for a 3-1 to Tottenham. I've got to say, Spurs were really, really underwhelming. And, they'll be very thankful that they got that point, because I think Chelsea were by far the better team in the first half. Spurs really not that great in the second half, but out of nowhere they get late goals when it matters. So fair play. Good result for Spurs, but ultimately not a win. And Chelsea looked really impressive in most of that game, so they're looking to click. And Koulibaly looks like a really, really good signing for them. And Sterling, he had a few chances against Spurs, but it's just, will he score goals? Let's find out. Ultimately, though, very happy with that. And then finally, Liverpool Palace. I mean, that was a very, very poor performance from Liverpool. I thought they would be much better, but they just got hit on the break by Palace. And, second half, they were much better, Liverpool, especially when you consider being with 10 men after that stupid Nunez red card. Don't know what he was thinking, but I went for a Liverpool win. I went for a 3-0. And also DK Jones went for a 3-1 Liverpool, but of course it was 1-1 with the fantastic solo goal from Luis Diaz, getting Liverpool the point going into that clash at Old Trafford against their old rivals Manchester United. So let's move on to match week number 3, and let's start predicting these games. We've got Spurs against Wolves to kick us off. I mean, this is the kind of game I honestly feel Spurs will do enough to get the victory. Last season, Spurs in these kind of games did struggle, and they've actually got quite a difficult record against Wolves. But I think this Spurs this season are looking much, much better. As bad as they were against Chelsea, in my opinion, I think they are going to be better at home. And Wolves have started the season quite poorly, so I can imagine them getting enough to get the victory here. And I think that it will be another goal for Dejan Kulusevski. I thought he's been superb this season. So I'm going to predict that the final score in this one is Tottenham Hotspur 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Goal scorer for Wolverhampton Wanderers, I think it's going to be a little bit of Hwang Hee-chan. And then the second Spurs goal after that one from Kulusevski is going to be, oh yes, a defender for Spurs. It's not who you'd expect, Eric Dyer. Now, moving on, it's Crystal Palace against Aston Villa. This is, in my opinion, a very interesting game because going into this, it's a great point for Palace against Liverpool. I thought they were quite underwhelming against Arsenal in that 2-0 defeat, but they looked much, much better on the break. But they need to kind of increase that home form and score their first home goal of the season. Villa, on the other hand, they were good and they deserved their victory. I thought Watkins was superb against Everton with 2 assists, looked really influential. So I think he'll get on the score sheet. But I don't think Villa are going to win this one. I think Palace will be a bit more stubborn after that good point against Liverpool. Palace 1, Villa 1. Watkins to score, and the goal scorer for Crystal Palace is going to be, oh yes, it's Edouard. Now, Everton against Forest. I honestly feel there is a lot of scenarios in which Nottingham Forest win this game because they were superb against West Ham. Really, really good. And Nico Williams caught the eye. But I honestly feel Everton have to be better at home this season if they're going to stay up. So I kind of want Forest to win, but on the other hand, what do I think might happen? There's a chance of it happening, so I'm going to predict it. Everton 1, Forest 0, with the only goal scorer for Everton, that man right there, Anthony Gordon. Let's move on to Fulham against Brentford, a nice London derby. I think Brentford will win this game, despite how good Fulham were against Liverpool. Fulham didn't have a lot of the game against Wolves, and they spurned that penalty. So I think Fulham will be all right this season in terms of performances. Will they do enough to stay up is another question. But I just really like this Brentford team right now. They were superb against Manchester United. So I'm going to say Fulham 0, Brentford 2, and Brentford goal scorers Brian Mbeumo and Ivan Toney. Now, we've got Leicester versus Southampton. Now, I'm going for a bit of a shock prediction here, but I've got a feeling Southampton will win this game. The reason I say that was I thought they were brilliant in the way they came back against Leeds. And as good as Leicester were in that game against Brentford, in the way that they scored goals, and defensively they were a bit all over the shop against Arsenal, but you would fancy Leicester at home. But I've got this feeling, there was that 9-0 for Leicester against Southampton, but then in the same season, Southampton go and beat Leicester at the King Power. So I've just got this feeling for Southampton that they will get a positive result, but I could be wrong. 1-0 to the Saints, with the only goal scorer going to be Shea Adams. Now, moving on, it is Bournemouth v Arsenal, the Sky Sports 5:30 kickoff. This should be an interesting one on the South Coast. Gabriel Jesus, with 2 goals last week, is in fine form, and he faces a Bournemouth side that really, you just don't know what you're going to get. Against Aston Villa, they were really brilliant and really put Villa to the sword. Against City, though, as you would expect, but they were really just giving it to City, and they were just sitting back and dropping deep. So will they do the same thing here against Arsenal, or will they let Arsenal have a tough game and really go at them? I just don't feel like Bournemouth will do that, so I think Arsenal will get the victory. Bournemouth 1, Arsenal 3. Jesus to get 1, and then another goal for Arsenal coming from Martinelli. The Bournemouth goal scorer, I think, will be a little bit of Dominic Solanke. I think he'll be back from injury, if not Lloyd Kelly. But the goal scorer for Arsenal to finish it off, I think, will be a defender this time, and that is, of course, the man who scored an own goal last week, William Saliba. That's how football works. And then we've got Leeds against Chelsea. I think Chelsea are winning this game, to be honest, because Leeds, as good as they were last week in periods, and Rodrigo got a double again, I think he is going to stop scoring. I think Chelsea are going to keep getting clean sheets and therefore get the victory. But the clean sheet won't come in this game. Leeds 1, Chelsea 2. A tight game, but Chelsea get the victory with goals from Kai Havertz, Reece James, and then a late consolation scored for Leeds by Brendan Aronson. Now we've got West Ham v Brighton. I think this will be a very tight game. It could be a 0-0. It's been that in the past, definitely. But I think draw is all over this game. As good as Brighton were last week, I think they were just a little bit wasteful with those chance misses from Pascal Gross, etc., etc. So I think they're going to struggle to break down this West Ham team. Although West Ham, I thought, were quite poor against Forest in most of the game. I mean, they were unlucky, but still yet to score a goal this season. They were undone by Man City, so I don't think they're going to be that confident, even at home. But it'll be a tight one. West Ham won, Brighton won, and West Ham score their goal through Fornals. But then the goal for Brighton, I'm going to say, is by none other than, yes, the forward. That is Danny Welbeck. Now we've got Newcastle v Man City. I think City win this comfortably. I don't see City trumping the tune because defensively Newcastle have been much, much better recently. With Pope in goal, he's been really impressive. With the new signings of Botman and Trippier obviously coming back from injury has been a real boost for them. So I think I think City will win, but it won't be an embarrassment. I think City are just so good that they will find a way through. But it will be a kind of tight game-ish, and City get a couple of goals. One from Erling Haaland, and the second for City is going to be, oh yes, Joao Cancelo. Now, it's Manchester United versus Liverpool. What am I saying in this game? I'm predicting a big Liverpool win. What a surprise. Now, the game could get called off. I don't think it will, though. As much as United fans want to protest against the Glazer ownership, I just think they surely are going to have more security in this time to make sure the game goes ahead. But it's going to be an interesting match to watch for sure. However, United are a mess at the minute, and until I start seeing signs that they improve, I'm going to back Liverpool all the way. United 0, Liverpool 3, and the goal scorers for Liverpool, you guessed it, it's Trent, Salah, and Andrew Robertson. So, thanks for watching my Premier League predictions for match week number 3. Get yours in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.